Hello everybody, welcome to the Malbeefance channel. This is episode 9 of my series replay for Strategic Command American Civil War. And I would like to start by pointing out that it is the opinion of some excellent commentators that I have let the Union down by not being more aggressive in Northern Virginia. So, with that in mind, and in order to assuage the newspapers that have been critical of my performance thus far, we will take a more, how shall we say, aggressive stance in Northern Virginia. Okay, but seriously, yes. So I've been getting a little shade thrown my way about my less than aggressive uh, actions in Northern Virginia, and to a degree, I agree. Um, as I had mentioned at the beginning of this series replay, I don't have a lot of hours in this game, um, at least not by my standard. And my experience has been that the computer is quite good at setting me up for ambushes in this game, whether the computer is the Confederacy or the Union. It uses um, visibility quite well, at least in my opinion. And so what we have here, I'm looking at the Northern Virginia Theater, and what we have here is two Confederate infantry divisions along with a total of five infantry brigades that we can see. Okay, and so obviously I've got more infantry brigades, the same number of infantry divisions, although mine are not deployed centrally like the computers is. And then I've also got my infantry corps. But if you go back and view movements of the Confederate forces in Northern Virginia over the last couple of turns, you'll see that there is at least one cavalry division on the Confederate side, and I anticipate that there is at least three, possibly four more infantry brigades that are out here somewhere in the background. So advancing is going to be dicey because I know the computer is smart enough to set up ambushes for me. It does use its visibility rules effectively. And so, but I will try and be more aggressive in Northern Virginia here because there is a certain amount of reasoning behind the criticism. Um, why am I not seeing more Confederate troops here in Northern Virginia? What is going on there? Um, Not sure. I should be seeing more troops here. Um, when I go ahead and I look at the number of troops that I see over here in Kentucky and what is facing General Grant in western Kentucky, the success that General Freeman and his Army of the Arkansas have been able to get in Missouri, um, asking myself, where is the Confederate troops? They've got me outnumbered overall. Okay, 74 mobile land units to my 65. Okay, um, so where are these units? Even if you account for units that I know are going to be guarding certain locations, like intelligence, every now and then pops up a unit down here near Vicksburg, and then a unit around Little Rock. We know we've got some garrison units out there somewhere. We know we've got at least one other unit out here in Texas near the Indian Territories. I'm sure there's going to be a unit here in Fayetteville. So where is the Confederate Army? This is a concern. So I have to play, in my opinion, I have to play a little cautiously because that army is going to pop up somewhere, and when it does, it's going to pop up in strength. So, unlike Jeb Stuart, I am going to take my dressing down in stride, and we'll just go ahead and we'll see what happens. Well, let's go ahead and advance the turn, and hopefully I'll be able to come clean on my promise to get a little bit more aggressive here in Northern Virginia. All right, so blockade runners are going to divert because of Union forces approaching Nolens. And there's the other half. Haitian President Faber begins sending aid to Dominican rebels in response to Spain's reconquest of the Dominican Republic. And the bushwhackers again. So apparently there is absolutely nothing I can do about that. There is our blockade. Julia Ward Howard, her Battle Hymn of the Republic is published in the Atlantic Monthly. There's a whole story behind that song. It is actually a folk song of another song, an earlier song. I wish I could remember. Oh yeah, John Brown's Body. That was it. It took me a moment to remember. The original song, where the music comes from, is a song by the name of John Brown's Body. And so Julia Howe and her church group, they were out visiting a medical facility for Union troops, and they were listening to some of the songs that the troops were singing. And her pastor, on the way back, the church group, the ladies, they were singing some of these songs, and the pastor that was with them, he had asked Julia Howe if she could rewrite the rather catchy John Brown's Body is actually a rather dark song, but it's got very catchy music to it. And he was interested in seeing if Julia could rewrite it. And so she did, and that's where the Battle Hymn of the Republic comes in. And if I remember the story correctly, it took her a little while to get any inspiration, but as soon as she got the first stanza of the chorus, the rest of the song fell into place. At least that's the way the story goes as I remember it. Now, the Atlantic Monthly here, she sold the lyrics to the Atlantic Monthly for $4. Okay, with inflation, that would equal 150. It's either 127 or 157 dollars in 2025 money. So, not a lot of money. By today's standards, but back then she did. She sold it to them for a nice amount of money. The rest is history. So there's your history lesson on the Battle Hymn of the Republic. All right, there we go. Union develops core organization level 1. We can start deploying sledgehammers. There is our ledger for next turn, and the computer is calculating supply. Oh, there was a comment about the volume level of the game versus the volume level of my narration. Hopefully I have corrected that. Somebody drop me a comment. Let me know if it if it's sounding better. I'm afraid there doesn't seem to be much more that I can do for the volume of my voice unless I start screaming into the microphone. But I think I have effectively turned down the game noise so that it is not drowning out my speaking. So yeah, let me know if that's improved any, if you please. So we've had a lot of we had a little bit of movement going on over there in Kentucky, and now we have the infantry divisions attacking over in Northern Virginia. There's another of the infantry brigades in Northern Virginia, and another. So, but you can see in some places the computer is moving the unit forward, attacking, and then moving the unit back out of sight. Now, sometimes that movement, like right there that you saw in the Far West Theater, it was to facilitate moving up another unit to attack. But in some cases, they just move back and then they're gone and nothing else happens there. So now that, in my opinion, that's a good tactic on the part of the computer. It is forcing me to advance into potential ambushes. Also, another thing that just occurred to me is that by moving back like that, my units do not get the benefit of a prepared attack on the next turn. So we still got a little bit more moving around going on. Okay, the brigade in Cape Girardeau has been lost due to lack of supply. European forces move inland as the Convention of La Soledad is held. I mentioned this a little bit in a previous episode. The Convention of La Soledad was the meeting between the three big European powers and the government of Mexico representatives to explain that this invasion was, I know this is going to sound silly, but this is the verbiage that was used. The invasion of Mexico was so that the intervening powers could shore up the Mexican Republican government to ensure its solidity, with the end result being that this solid government will now be able to make debt payments to the intervening European powers. Okay. As history bore out, the United Kingdom, Great Britain, they were honest in their negotiations at this point, and Spain, for the most part, was also willing to keep to their word. But as history bore out, France, Emperor Napoleon III, he had different ideas. All right, so here is our reinforcements. A number of my gunboats are coming into play. All right, so I've already got 2 deployed over on that side on the Mississippi, and now I'll go ahead and deploy these 3 on the Ohio. All right, so here come my Marine Corps divisions, and none too soon I can say you. So I will deploy them here around Maryland, and the idea is that I will use them to invade Norfolk. Alright, so Riley's Rangers deploys, and I will have them over here in the Western Theater to assist in the Indian Territories, or if necessary I will have them go to the Far West Theater. Alright, so I have to deploy this gunboat at Boston. And now my siege artillery, which will be of most importance in Northern Virginia, especially when we reach Richmond. Now, 2nd Siege Artillery, I could deploy them in Northern Virginia. I did promise that I would be more aggressive. However, Nashville, Tennessee is an equally important target, and so I will deploy the 2nd Siege Artillery to assist General Pope and General Grant in their efforts to surround and ultimately capture Nashville, Tennessee. So we have a few more gunboats to deploy on the Atlantic, and finally the Monitor, the actual Monitor is deployed. Alright, and that wraps it up for our reinforcements. I will start over here in the Western Territories as I usually do. Now, how much can I reinforce the cavalry? Only 3 points. It's going to have to do. Swap out those infantry regiments so that I can reinforce him and have a unit that has slightly better morale and readiness defending Fort Thorn. Now, there are more scripted reinforcements for the the far western theater. There is the California Column, which I do believe is on its way, and then there are supposed to be more volunteers that will form around Fort Barkley. However, I do believe that the additional volunteers that arrive here near Santa Fe, it is random when they will arrive, I believe. I'm not entirely certain. But the few times that I have played this through, those reinforcements, those scripted reinforcements, they have not arrived at the same time as far as I can remember. Okay, so the forts are gone along the Mississippi River approaching Nolens. So I will once again deploy the gunboats out to block the convoy lines. So something that I'm going to do as I get more frigates deployed down here into the Gulf of America, I'm going to shift and have the frigates operate out of Fort Jefferson as their headquarters so that I can more effectively blockade all of these convoy lanes heading towards Galveston and Mobile. Now check the supplies of the frigates that are out here in the Atlantic. I would like to take out the fort at Pulaski on Tybee Island. That will go a long way to helping curtail convoys coming into Savannah Harbor, but I just do not have the firepower at this moment. With all of those gunboats that have deployed up north, hopefully I will be able to improve my position there. Now that I have these monitors, then they appeared none too soon, because usually if I purchase these monitors like I did, as soon as I did, by the time they deploy, by the time I am able to get them down here to the Hampton Roads, is when the Virginia will deploy out of Norfolk. And so now these monitors are there, able to defend against that. So with it snowing in northern Virginia, I'm going to take the opportunity to upgrade that division, the video toaster division. Now this Confederate infantry division, Anderson's division, they are heavily damaged. I might be able to take advantage of that. That was an excellent hit. However, that was not so good. I am concerned about moving any of these forces, but I really don't want to move one of these infantry brigades in order to make room for the cavalry division to attack. And then I'm also concerned that if I move the cavalry division here and they attack, they will not have enough movement to withdraw. But I will take the chance. Alright, so there is the Confederate cavalry division that I knew was in the area. Let's see if we can. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to finish him off. I'll just reinforce those troops that are there around Winchester. Hopefully I will be able to remove Farragut's Marines and they can join in the attack on Norfolk. Now General McClellan's Army of the Ohio was always intended to be a blocking force here in Western Virginia. However, if I get the forces available, I will reinforce him with a couple of infantry divisions and I will attempt to move on Staunton, or if General McDowell is able to advance into the Shenandoah, then I will have the Army of the Ohio push down on Christiansburg and Wytheville. And that is how that is pronounced, Wytheville. It is not Wytheville. Although I have to admit sometimes I will pronounce it that way just to cheese off other Virginians. Alright, so now on to Kentucky. The Army of the Cumberland has got themselves a Confederate infantry brigade that they can defeat. And so Far S Division will finish them off, but not without casualties. And then I'll have the Far S Division move into Columbia as a blocking force, while the 15th Wisconsin occupies Greensburg. Now I'm fairly certain that there is a enemy unit in Glasgow. So instead of advancing, I'm going to take the opportunity to upgrade the scouts on these two units, and then next turn their spotting capability will be far enough that we may be able to see the unit there. All right, so that pretty much blocks um, General Polk's Army of Tennessee from advancing any further in Kentucky. And then hopefully I will have enough forces to be able to start pushing them back towards Nashville. All right, so moving on to General Grant's Army of the Tennessee. Take the opportunity to see if I can't damage that gunboat, which we were able to do. Getting across the river is not going to be easy. All right, so that takes care of the initial force that the computer sent to try and occupy Cairo. So I'll go ahead and reinforce some of the units that have not attacked. Now, I know I've mentioned it before, but I believe that is a good 5, possibly 6 Confederate infantry brigades that have been wiped out attempting to take Cairo and move up the Mississippi heading towards St. Louis. Uh, if you haven't been playing this game a lot, you might not realize that was a sizable chunk of the available forces that the Confederates have here in this area of the map. So that means I should have a pretty decent shot of advancing down into Mississippi and Arkansas on this side of the state, unless all of those Confederate units that I'm being paranoid about are somewhere down here, and they're working their way up to take on Grant and Pope. All right, do I have any other units around here that I gotta do anything with? Nope, doesn't look like it. Okay, so now I have got to get him off of those crosswords, if for no other reason to save his supply. Keep him in supply, I should say. Now, I've been successful by isolating one Confederate unit at a time and then wearing them down, grinding them down. So that has been a good tactic so far. I'm surprised that the computer has not responded with greater forces out here. Although I'm not complaining. Okay, so we were able to take out that last infantry brigade. Move this regiment to block at P Ridge. And so now, as much as I would like to take advantage of the opening and move out into Indian Territory, link up with Fort Gibson, I need to get these units back onto supply nodes so that I can reinforce them and upgrade them, as the case may be. And just get them closer to General Freeman so that they can supply. Now, do I get lucky, and are we able to take Tallahassee? Yes, we are. Okay, so that is going to cause the Creek Nation to surrender, assuming that the Confederates don't take the city back, or the town back. Reinforce him. All right, so that is going to do it for all of my operational movement for this turn. All right, so do we have anything to do with research? Yes, we do. And what I got, 150, so I got to get core organization back up to max. I've got to max that out as fast as I can. Same thing with infantry equipment. So, I mean, the same argument can be made for cavalry equipment as well. I mean, I want to do more in amphibious warfare so that I can have more marine units. But let me stick with the regular army troops. All right, so I can finally deploy some core, but I can't put scouts on him. All right, so either way, he winds up being delayed. Whether I put him in the pipe now and upgrade him to scouts later, or I wait a turn and get uh, infantry 1 and scouts 1. So let's get him. Let's get him training, and that does it. That runs me all the way down to 13 production points left. So that is going to do it for this turn. All right, so I'm going to cut this one here as this turn ran a little bit longer than I had intended. And thank you very much for following. Um, Thanks for all the input that I've been getting from folks. All of the kibitzing and constructive criticism. Because, like I said at the beginning, mistakes are going to get made. I'm still relatively new to ACW, to American Civil War, and even though the game mechanics are the same as the other strategic command games, you're still dealing with a different time period. Um, Tactics. I don't really know what's available to both sides as well as somebody that's got a lot more hours in it. So leave if you would leave a like, go ahead and drop a comment if you care to. Subscribe if you have not already. Last time I checked, we're up to 44 subscribers. Awesome. I be honest with you, I never expected anything like that. I was just doing this for fun, doing it as kind of a hobby now. Um, but there are some folks out there that are tuning in regularly to check this out. So yeah, it tells me that you like this kind of stuff. We're doing all right, and so I'll keep at it. Thank you very much. Um, Share this with somebody if you think they like this kind of content, uh, or my sense of humor, for want of a better term. And well, I'll see you on the next one.